SNDK keeps ripping to the upside. Bitcoin is continuing to sell off, and MU just put in a topping tail on the daily time frame. Welcome, everybody. My name is Benjamin Poole, head trader at Verified Investing. And today I'm going to go over a couple different stocks that you specifically requested. In addition to MU, I'm going to show you a topping tail. This is going to be a little bit more of a down and dirty analysis of these particular stocks. So please stick with me while I go through each and every one of them for you. The first one I'm going to go over is ServiceNow. So one of the subscribers decided to ask me a question on ServiceNow. Here's this upswing trend line that I had been monitoring on ServiceNow. This was the third hit of this upswing trend line, which actually favored a move to the upside. You didn't even really get a bounce, and then it confirmed below it. And look at this sell-off. ServiceNow is down to about $125.30 in the post market. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out on the charts and see where the next level of support is going to be. You have this pivot top right here, but really I like this pivot at $121.59. Not necessary for a long level, but it's going to get support in tomorrow's session if we have another sell-off in NOW. What I'm liking, though, is for a swing trade. Look at this. You've got this $106.06 level. Not only is it a gap fill in the charts, but look at all of this price consolidation right in this area. So you can see that there's a ton of support at this $106.06 level all the way up to $121. For me, I like the lower end of the support because there are a lot more conviction inside of this chart now that we're starting to break right on top of it. Okay. If it does drop a little bit lower, oh, wow. Now I'm zooming out a little bit more in the charts. You're going to have some more support at $104 and then this gap fill right here at the $100 even number. This is the area that I would be looking, $106.19 all the way down to $100 even number. Not only do you have this high pivot, you have this potential gap fill, but look at all of this price consolidation and then look at all of the support. So ServiceNow, although it's not a buying opportunity yet, it is looking to get into some really key support levels on this chart. ISRG, Intuitive Surgical. Here's this basically the support level right here at where price action is currently sitting at $528.73. This was a support level that I had. It's broken through that. If price can break below $521.71 to the downside, you don't have a lot of key support until this gap fill. If price can get here within the next week or so, this is going to be a huge buy level sitting at $462.74. And reason I like this level is because you had all this price consolidation before, I believe this was earnings, and look at the move to the upside. This was a 29-30% move to the upside. When price action gets into this gap fill again, there should be some buyers who are willing to step right back up and pick this up for another long trade. If we start consolidating right above that, this level would be off the table, and then I would be looking for the lower end of the support at $429. If we zoom out in the charts, you've also got this secondary pivot low right here at $424, and I really like this level as well. If price action can't hold this, you would be looking at a potential 8% move to the downside. This could be an additional add level on ISRG. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom out in the charts to see where the potential downside is after that. After that, your next level of support is $400, basically the $400 even number. You have these pivot tops here and these pivot lows here. And then if price action does break below it, you have additional support right here at $369.10. Again, pivot tops before a major move to the downside. Price got back above it, held the support once price action got above this resistance, and then off to the races you went. So this could mean that there are institutions as well as retail investors who are licking their chops, waiting for this big haircut all the way down to $369. So on a swing trade basis, here's where you could start. I would wait until this low pivot right here at $424. Unless you're going to take this for a day trade where you could look for about 3 to 5% move on the upside. Breaks below that, your secondary pivot here is this 424 level. Could start a swing trade. and then know that $369.10 would be your ad level. For you who want to swing trade here, you have additional ad levels. This could be your first entry price, 462, second entry or your ad level, or a stop out at a close on a daily closing basis below this slow pivot, knowing that you could possibly pick this up at $369.10 at all of this support. Okay, AV had some negative news. Today, there was a massive sell-off. So I'm glad I didn't talk about this stock. It was into resistance. I do have a key day trade level going into tomorrow's session. I don't have a swing trade long level until it drops significantly. Something like AV can get really big momentum either to the upside or the downside. And so I would be waiting for a swing trade for a continuation move to the downside before I enter a swing long. Here's that chart of AV. Again, here was this massive sell-off today. Negative news behind it, $318.48 where I'd be looking for a potential day trade going into tomorrow's session. I do mention a close on a 15-minute closing basis in my my top trades of the day. So what that means is if on a 15-minute basis, this were a closing price at 327, if this was my entry price right here at 330, and this closing candle closed at 327, that is where I'd stop out of the trade. So for example, $318.48, if on a 15-minute candle, that closes below this entry price at $318.48, that is where I'm stopping out, knowing that, going back to the daily time frame, that I'm going to have additional support, but it's not really going to be until this wide range red bar candle and this pivot top, and then the beginning of this wide range green bar candle sitting right below the $300 whole round number. So I don't want to be the bag holder trying to buy it here, and then all of a sudden you get another 5.5–6% pullback or a continuation move to the downside. I would love to be able to pick this up at a lower price, and instead of trying to dollar cost average in. If it does fail these support levels because of the negative news, you could head all the way down to $556.24. So now let's go back to the swing trade level that I mentioned. What I've noticed is you've got this pivot low here, secondary pivot here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect these two pivots, and this is your upswing trend line where you should get support for a swing trade level. So this is your first pivot, second pivot. Price action gets into this level right around $230 on a swing trade basis. This could be your entry for a long trade. If it closes below this on a daily closing basis, this could be your stop out. And the reason I like to give potential entry prices on upswing trend lines or horizontal trend lines is because it gives me a clear entry point and a clear stop out. The hardest part about trading is respecting your stop outs. If you have a 15-minute closing basis and that closes below it, stop out immediately. Don't second guess it and say, oh, well, it's starting to get a bounce now, or maybe it's just going to pull back a little bit more. That's where traders end up getting wrecked because they slowly dollar cost average, or they move their stop lower and lower and lower because they don't want to be wrong in the trade. You're going to be wrong. The quicker we can realize that we were wrong on that trade and we didn't get the bounce that we were supposed to get, we can move on to the next trade or look for additional support and go long at additional levels. And if it does stop out and then goes back in your direction, so what? You respected your entry prices, you respected your exits, and that was the end of the trade. Once you do that once you do that over and over again, you can become a much more successful trader. And if you notice that's happening to you over and over and over again, and you're actually losing more and more, adjust your stops, right? So it's great to have a plan, but if they're not working, adjust your plan accordingly, and then see if you can become more successful. Or if you're stopping out of a lot of trades, but your overall win, your portfolio continues to go up and up and up because you're respecting your levels, who cares if you stop out? Like, you're really, your bottom line and your trading platform, your profit and loss, you want to continue to see that increase. But if you fail to stop out and that one trade goes against you because you didn't respect it that one time, you can blow up your account. So anyway, let's go ahead and go into OXY. I'd gone over this trade a couple different times, or one other time. I'd given you a particular long level and it missed my level barely. It looked like it was a great long level. Now I've got this nice wedge pattern that we are looking to go towards the apex of. and give you an idea of where you could go either short or long, depending on your preference in the stock of OXY. So here's the chart. Here's this down sloping trend line. Here's this up sloping trend line. Price is sitting right at the midline of this wedge pattern. So a long level would be right here about $39.26. Could play a little bit more or a little bit less conservative and pick it up at a pierce of $40. And now on the downside or on the upside, if it hits this down sloping trend line, this could be an entry price for a short, knowing that you've got this down sloping trend line. If it closes above with confirmation, you could always stop out and actually look for a retrace and go long on a stock like OXY. Overall, this wedge pattern is more of a bullish wedge. So if we do break out of this, I'm not buying it yet. I would wait for a breakout, confirmation, and then a retrace as seen in the crime and pick this thing up for a swing trade. Or I would just pick it up down here. Pierce to $40. It looks like a great long level. And if it closes below this upsloping trend line on a daily closing basis, you can always stop out there. Or if you like to do what I do, start with a 1% of my portfolio, dollar cost average, maybe it comes down to $35 or pierce of 35. You can always add to your position. All right, let's go ahead and go into our next chart. This is RTX. This is a less than $1 stock. This, for me, this would be really difficult to trade. I don't really have any good support levels. If you like this for a long-term play and you believe in the stock, pierce of $1 is a great opportunity for a potential catastrophic move to the upside. You could take 3, 4, 500% just for it to move up to $5. And in the past, it has done that. So this could be why you're actually looking at this stock to begin with. Let's go ahead and jump into this chart. Right now, I'm noticing that it's at 93 cents. It's breaking below all of this support. Anytime you start breaking support, you got to look back in the charts. And you notice I'm not seeing anything. Next thing you got to do is line up potential swing trade levels or pivots. So you take this low pivot right here. This would be your first hit. This is your second hit. So you notice we're breaking below this low pivot as well. I don't have any levels below that. And so if I don't have any levels, right now you're just hoping and wishing and praying that this thing moves in the right direction. But as I mentioned, in the past, it has gone up parabolic to the upside. In fact, look at where it has been trading. $26.38. But again, with no real support, I don't have any opportunities to go long. The other thing you could do is take a look at your high pivots and see where a breakout potential could be. Okay, so you've got this down sloping trend line, similar to what's going on with OXY. You could look at this down sloping trend line and say, okay, so there clearly is a bunch of resistance here. You would wait for a price action to consolidate all the way to this down sloping trend line, wait for a breakout, confirmation, and then you place your trade on a retrace of the scene of the crime. But then you've got to figure out where your stop out is, because as you can see, price can continue lower and lower on top of this upsloping or downsloping trend line, and you could be continually going outside of the money over and over again. So have a clear defined entry and a clear defined stop out, unless you just plan on holding this forever long term because you believe in Rackspace Technology. Okay. Let's go into the next chart right here. Let's just jump into SanDisk. SanDisk is a monster. Holy cow. Look at this move. You have some positive news because the memory chips and memory stocks are just going wild. And this is on the back of the lack of resources available and the need for memory in the AI space, as well as quantum computing. And SanDisk is one of the companies that makes it. On the upside, what I can do is draw trend lines. Here's this upsloping trend line that's consolidated price over and over again. You notice we're above that. So the next thing to do is try to find another upsloping trend line. As you can see, there's not a lot of resistance. Oh, let me go ahead and try this again. There's not going to be a lot of resistance until you get to this high pivot point right here at about $488. And for me, I would be looking not quite at $500, but I would be looking right about the $495 for an upside target for a short entry. And I like that because if it pierces the $500 level, I know that this is going to be a key psychological level that people are going to be interested in taking profits. So just think about you're long this and you're long at $400. 20% move to the upside is about $500. where's your profit taking level going to be? Well, I'm waiting for a pierce of $500. And if you're doing call options, you're looking for that $500 pierce as well. And so as soon as that hits, you're going to be taking profits and looking to get back into it right around $400 or $450. But we want to be able to get into that trade at that $495, just below the $500 level, just in case the institutions decide not to push it all the way up there and sell it off before that happens. On the long side, you have a really decent, it's not a special gap in the charts, but on SanDisk, $387 would be a key support level on the downside if we can get a move into this gap fill within the next couple of days. This would be more of a day trade. On a swing trade basis, if it ever gets back down to $283.07, there will be a ton of buyers here, knowing that at one point it got up to $457. This would be almost a 50% haircut. People will be gobbling this thing up. All right, a couple of different charts that we're going to go over. MU, here's the potential topping tail in MU. Actually, not a potential topping tail. Here's the topping tail. So how you want to play this? A couple of different things you look for. Is this a wide range candle? Is this a big move to the upside? Yes, it's at all-time highs. This is an astounding move. It got as high as $381 before this pullback. Is it the wick in this case in the top 50%? It's greater than 50% in the entire candle. Absolutely. And did it close below the 25% level? And right here at $366.40, is that close below? This is an official topping tail on MU. For retail investors, they love to get in on the close on a topping tail. For me, on a swing trade basis, I would be looking at $373.84, waiting for a retrace, knowing that on a daily closing basis, be above $381.56, that would completely negate this reversal signal on the topping tail of MU. All right, last but certainly not least, Bitcoin is it's holding this upswing trend line. Actually, right now it's at $88,000, $88,400. So this upswing trend line that I had on my charts looked like a great opportunity, but as the trade is playing out, it's actually going down. So let's go ahead and jump in the charts. And I know I said that this was going to be down and dirty, but this is going to be almost a 20-minute video. And if you watch this far, thank you so much. It really helps me. Helps the algorithm, and hopefully you can get a lot out of this trade as well, or these trade setups. So here's Bitcoin upswing trend line. This is a lot of support. What I liked about Bitcoin until today was you kept making these higher lows on the charts at Bitcoin. For me, the breakout point was above 94,300. It broke above that level, confirmed, and look at this. I wasn't chasing. I actually got out of a long trade on Bitcoin right near the top because I was waiting for a retrace. And a retrace of the scene of the crime is right here on this upswing trend line where it's below right now. So $90,000 was that retrace. Does not necessarily mean it's negated this upswing trend line. What this means is that the sellers are still in control, but it hasn't confirmed below this. If it does confirm below, this could be a great stop out level. And then you could actually short this on a retrace of the scene of the crime, but you would need confirmation to the downside. So confirmation would probably be a close around 87,000. Wait for a retrace, buyers to push this back up to about 90,000, and then this could be a great shorting opportunity. For me, I'm still a little bit bullish on Bitcoin until we can start taking out this low right here at 84,000. Once we do that, then we're likely to head back down to 80,000. That would be your next support. You start breaking that, you're going down to 74,000. Again, I'm still a little bit more bullish than I am bearish on Bitcoin. This is why I'm long in my swing trade service, because I do anticipate a move all the way up to about $106,000 on the chart of Bitcoin. So that's what I have for you guys. Thank you so much. Again, if you've watched all the way through, please make sure you're liking, subscribing, and following. And thank you so much for sharing. And most importantly, thank you for all your comments. This video was from the comment section with the exception of MU, and I wanted to go over a topping tail with you to show you what a topping tail looks like, give you really the three criteria that we look for as topping tails and how to potentially play it. So that's what I have for you guys. Thanks again. And I will see you guys next time in the charts. You guys have a great rest of your day and take care.